Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm very excited to bring you a review for the new Marvel Legends X-Men Animated Series Collection, Wolverine. Wolverine is the first figure to be released in this collection, and it is part of an overarching attempt to deliver us X-Men characters in some cel shading colors and replicating the characters' appearances from the 90s X-Men cartoon. Also known as one of the best cartoon series ever made. I don't make the rules, that's just what it is, you know, what can I say? You can't argue with that theme song, you can't. It automatically wins every debate. So, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Wolverine's packaging, then we'll open it up, we'll see the figure itself, we'll check out his posability, his accessories. Naturally, I'll be doing some group shots and comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll get my final thoughts. So our Wolverine toy comes in this special packaging that is done up to resemble a VHS tape with its respective sleeve. If you don't know what a VHS tape is, you are way too young. Go look it up, Google it. For those of us that actually watched the show when it came out, we know what a VHS tape is. So we get some really nice artwork on the front that is done up to resemble something you would see on the front of a VHS cover. Right, it's got the title right there. In this case, we have the character's name. And we have the little block here that resembles what you would see in the corner of a comic book, along with Wolverine's face there. Of course, it says Marvel Comics up here. Really great, just illustration of the character. Very much harkens back to the old cartoon. You got your usual branding and warnings, and we also see this thing that says plastic-free packaging, except tape and glue. Now, in the case of this release, it makes sense to be plastic-free because of what they're going for. However, we do know that pretty soon all Marvel Legends packaging, or most of it, is going to go this route. So, enjoy those nice windows and being able to see your toys while you can. Because for all I know, this Wolverine could have 2 left hands, as I saw happen to somebody. Could be broken, could, all sorts of things. So, not a fan of it. Now, in this case, I'd make an exception because it's, kind of going with the theme, but overall, not crazy about it. All right, on the side, we get a nice side profile of Wolverine's head, and then, the X-Men logo, his name again. And then right here it says MVL, so for Marvel Legends, which is taking the place of the VHS logo. And then on the back, we get something that does look like the back of a VHS tape. Normally there'd be kind of like a little synopsis of the movie or show you're about to watch. So we get a nice photo or possibly 3D render of our Wolverine toy. And then in several languages, we get some flavor text for him. And this says, his adamantium claws slash through steel. His mutant healing ability mends even the worst wounds. He's Wolverine, the best at what he does. And what he does best is fight evil mutants. So, pretty cool. Definitely got some 90s flair to it. Something you would see on either an old Marvel Toys packaging, or maybe even something that's like a single episode VHS tape, which they did have those, right? And if you had a spotlight episode that's just for Wolverine, you might actually see a description just like this. So overall, very, very cool. It is unfortunate, an entire third of the back of this is just taken up with legal stuff and warnings and brands and all that, but oh well. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with what we get. It's very, very light. I haven't talked about this, but it's extremely lightweight because this thing is just purely cardboard and paper with a figure in it. So yeah, I like the packaging. It's definitely something that's unique, something that, mixes things up a bit. But as always, we need to go ahead and open this up. Okay, now we get to see Logan out of the box, and we see everything he comes with. He has an alternate head. It's got more of a battle-ready face on it. He has 2 regular, item-holding hands, though they unfortunately lack, the little base of his claws on the knuckles. They kind of just left that detail off. And then we have the infamous photo, right? The one from the episode that has Scott and Jean on it. And this is a really, really good recreation. I love how well they printed that on there. It's got a nice wood-looking frame. It's got, the little flap in the back, the stand. I mean, came out beautifully. Now, as far as a Wolverine, you can see that his claws are not all the way they should be. And this is something that happens with basically every Wolverine figure ever, because the claws are so thin and have to be made of such a soft plastic that they just get bent in the packaging. And this guy was really bad because he was basically just squished and wrapped up inside of paper. So just pressing on his claws really bad. So yeah, he suffered it pretty badly. I wish Hasbro would do something about that, like with Legends figures that have these little tiny bendable parts. Put something around them, some sort of a molded protector that just keeps them straight, because it's annoying to get this toy and then have his claws be all jacked up looking. I know that's just always an issue with Wolverine and anyone like him that has those thin little needle-like appendages. But man, you would think it's been so long that maybe they'd come up with a fix by now. Okay, getting a good look at this toy. I will say under bright lights, the cell shading really shows. He almost looks like he is an actual cartoon right now. I'm saying this looking at my screen. As far as the cell shading, you can see there's a darker blue here on like the shoulder pads. There's a bunch of these orange-like lines going around the contours of his body. Some on like the inside and outside of his thighs. It's got dark blue on the gloves. It's got some orange here, like behind the ears, which would make sense because that area would be shaded. Overall, looks really good. Dark blue there, a little bit of dark red on the belt. And one thing I like about this toy, and presumably the other ones in this line, is the cell shading. It's not too much. Like, he can easily fit in with just your general, Legends X-Men toys and not look completely out of place. Now, would he be the best choice? No, there's better Wolverines out there if you're going for a more realistic or textured look. But he's still not so far gone that, he would look terribly out of place. So I think he works just in general, but especially as, the animated version of the character. Looking at his posability, he has a ball-jointed head with a hinge for looking down, looking up. He has universal shoulders, and his shoulder pads are actually on, I think they're connected just on the ends, like little pegs, but they can move a bit so that, you can move his shoulders around and up and down, and the pads will stay where they need to. He's got butterfly joints, which is really great for a character that's known for, slashing around with his claws. He's got an ab crunch, got a full waist swivel below the belt, which looks a little odd, but I guess it's got to go somewhere. Would have preferred it above the belt. He's got his universal hips, thigh swivel, double knees. It's got a boot swivel, which is really nice. Standard ankle articulation of rockers and rotation. Don't let me forget about the arms now. We talked about the shoulders. He has a bicep swivel, double band elbows, and universal wrists. So everything you come to expect from a Legends toy, he's got it all. Not lacking anywhere, which is really nice. And yeah, he looks like a very, very good 90s style, Jim Lee style Wolverine. Really, really like him. Now, as far as him being in a battle position with his claws out, I much prefer this alternate head, which I will show off here. If I can. All right, that looks better. Now this is Wolverine. This is how I may display him on the shelf, because he's got to have that snarl, right? Like he is a little savage Wolverine just ready to pounce. Because one thing that maybe not everyone knows about Wolverine, especially if they kind of grew up with the Hugh Jackman version, which is brilliant, by the way. Hugh Jackman is live action Wolverine as far as I'm concerned. Wolverine's not a very tall guy. He's 5.5 feet tall or so, which kind of adds to his whole aesthetic of being a rather small, vicious animal type character. So I think it works for him. All right, now I am going to go ahead and switch the head back, because I feel the more, analytical looking head works better for this. We're going to give him his alternate clawless hands. I do mean clawless, because you can see they're just generic hands, no little bases for his claws on them, which they should be there, but oh well, looks like they overlooked it. And these work as just, general item holding hands. You can hold weapons and stuff. But the reason it's included here is for the picture frame, right? Because this entire toy, this entire release, is based around a meme. So you just got to embrace it. I find the easiest way to get the picture in his hands is to slide it in from underneath, because his grip is a little tight compared to, the width needed for picture frame. So make sure you get everything there. Get the hands looking right. There we go. All right. So you can see him holding the frame, looking at it. And you can, try to recreate, the whole scene of him laying on a bed. Now, I don't have anything to, prop him up on, but, you can get creative and get him looking like he's kind of laying down. If you have, some sort of prop bed, that would be even better. Just something to lay him down on. But, yeah, you can recreate the meme and get him looking jealously at old Scott and Jean. So I really love that they included that. you know, sometimes when you become a meme, you just gotta embrace it. You just gotta roll with it and accept, like, hey, this is what people remember me for, so this is what I'm gonna do. Now here is a comparison shot in which I'm cheating a little bit because I'm including two figures that I have not finished reviewing yet. So consider this a little sneak peek, a little spoiler. I don't have any of the other standard versions of the X-Men, at least not yet. So what I have is the Age of Apocalypse versions of Rogue and Cyclops. So even though their stylings are a little bit different, they still look more or less like the classic characters and should be, you know, roughly the same size as their standard figures. And I did this mostly just to show you how well he can still blend in with a comic-based X-Men team. Because even though he has some cell shading here, you know, his colors really work in his favor to match like the yellows and the blues of, you know, the greater team of the X-Men. And I also want to highlight just how short they actually made the character, right? His height really does line up the way it should, because he's shorter than Cyclops, he's even shorter than Rogue. So yeah, they got Logan's height down pretty well. I don't remember his exact height. I think it's like 5'7", I want to say, 5'6", 5'7", something like that. So, you know, I mean, not unusually short, but fairly short for, you know, a grown man, especially one as strong and powerful as Wolverine can be. But anyway, seeing him together with some of his teammates, even if they are alternate future versions, really just kind of makes my day because I was such a huge fan of the X-Men growing up. And of course, Wolverine, you know, it's like everybody's go-to character for, you know, most popular. And, you know, admittedly, I felt the same way, at least growing up. Now, you know, being an adult's a little more nuanced as far as which one I actually like the most, but, you know, Logan's still way up there. And I am looking forward to going and tracking down some of his, you know, classic teammates just to get that really nice Jim Lee X-Men group shot. Not sure how long it'll take me to do that. This VHS collection will help a little bit because, you know, I know we got Jubilee coming and Morph just got announced. We also have Sinister, but, you know, he's not on the team. He's the bad guy. But still, this is something that just really makes my inner child happy. And this completes our look at the new animated series version of Wolverine. Being a huge X-Men fan, I, you know, admittedly love this toy. I think it just pulls off everything very well. It's got all the posability, all that stability, great detailing on the character. I love the shoulder pads that can move around and adjust. I like that he has the butterfly joints, so he can really get that good slashing motion in there. I like the accessories he comes with, both, you know, the alternate hands, the alternate head. The picture frame, of course, is just genius. Now, my only real gripe with him, and I keep mentioning it, with the alternate hands, they just took generic, like, item holding hands and gave them to him instead of having specially molded ones that have little, like, buds or bases for his claws. That's, you know, the one thing that bugs me about him, because it is a, you know, bit of a hiccup or inaccuracy. Everything else about him, I think, is great. Could I have gone without the cell shading? Yes, it would have made him a little more universal for display. But that's also, you know, the purpose of this guy is to be cel-shaded and look like he jumped out of the cartoon. So I also get what they were going with there. Now, I imagine, I don't have any other Wolverines before this guy, but I imagine this is probably a retool or, you know, maybe even just recolor of an existing Wolverine toy, just done up with cel shading. So for some people, this might be a little redundant. And if you have, like, whatever the regular version of this Wolverine is, you may not need this one, unless you're just a real stickler for, you know, that animation style, or you really want, like, the cool box with the VHS stylings and all that. Otherwise, he may be a bit redundant. If you don't have a standard, like, 90s era Wolverine, however, I think this gotta be perfect, and probably a lot cheaper than hunting down any older toy. So I would say, you know, give him a shot. He costs a little bit more than your standard figure, a couple bucks more, and that's just because of, like, the fancy packaging and all that. Maybe even because of the included picture frame accessory, because that thing looks nice. Like, they put in some good work on that. But I think overall, if you're a fan of Wolverine or X-Men or anything like that, especially the Jim Lee era or the cartoon, this guy's 100% worth it. Of course, that's just my take on this figure, so now I want to know what you all think of it. Is this the Wolverine you've been waiting for? Are you, like, really a big fan of his 90s design? Or does this not do it for you? Either maybe you don't like this particular styling, maybe you prefer, you know, the brown suit, maybe you prefer the Weapon X look, maybe it's just redundant for you, who knows? Any and all feedback is always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like, let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new Marvel Legends X-Men animated series, Wolverine. And with all that said, I will see you next time.